Historical Society of Quincy and Adams County will be hosting a presentation on one of Quincy's most famous residents and a pioneer of aviation. Mark Luechenhoff will be presenting Thomas Baldwin and the history of Quincy's airport. Luechenhoff has had a lifelong fascination with aviation and will take a look at the history of Quincy's past airports, including Monroe Airport on Payson Road and the Quincy Regional Airport at Baldwin Field. We'll also discuss how Thomas Baldwin impacted Quincy's aviation history.
They might say, oh yeah, he was a guy that flew balloons, or they might know that he jumped out of balloons, and he actually did many other things of great importance that most people have no idea. He produced airships. He actually sold the first motorized aircraft to the United States government. So before Boeing and Lockheed and all of those, there was Tom Baldwin.
The program is free and open to the public. It will be Sunday, November 16th at 2 o'clock in the afternoon in the Historical Society of Quincy and Adams County Visitor Center.